Here we are. Let's set 12:05. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for coming to the Rotary Club of Winder. We're starting a little early. I got some dessert in me early, so the energy level's up. And at this time, please stand for the prayer and the pledge.
Let's pray. Oh God, we just come to you right now. Lord, we're thankful. Thankful for the opportunity to gather, to come together as friends, as business partners, as club members. Lord, to go out and make a difference in the world around us, a difference in the lives of people in our community. Lord, we thank you for this meal. We thank you for the hands and blood that prepared it. And Lord, we just lift up the people in this country that are hurting, whether it comes from COVID, whether it comes from the events out in Colorado. Lord, we just ask you to be with them, come to them, and provide you.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. All right, guys, what are we celebrating today? Awesome. So in front of you, you're going to find all kind of like Rotary memorabilia that was sitting up at in Stephanie's closet at Banco ZK. And one of these, and I want to bring a tradition back for the rest of my year, because when you're president, you can kind of do what you want to pending board approval, right? And so you're going to find these slightly misogynistic songs for Rotary Club in here. You're going to find it little boys only-ish kind of, but if everyone will please turn to page 21. Page 21, ladies and gentlemen.
So then they need to know that every Rotary meeting used to start out with a singing of a song.
Okay, 2 months left, so we're going to do this. In addition to that, Psalm 21, page 16. So if you win to split the pot from here on out, you get to choose the song. And there's some Christmas ones in it. Yeah. So we're going to sound terrible, and I'm going to like snap to the beat of this. So we're going to sing, hooray, it's Rotary today. Are you guys ready? Yeah. With all the energy. Here we go. Hooray, it's Rotary today. Old pals, new friends will meet. We'll sing a song of cheer, then pause for prayer before we eat. Forget your cares, Rotarians, take time to count your joys. Let bankers, merchants, doctors, all once more be happy boys. You want to go one more verse? And girl. If you notice in the front, it says happy boys because this was like originally printed in 1925, so. All right, verse 2. We're glad it's Rotary today. Let's laugh and play a while. Come now, exchange a friendly word. Enjoy life every mile. You'll seek the best in me, and so I find the best in you. Through the years, we strive to make our noble dreams come true. Give yourself a hand. Excellent job. Right? You can just feel the energy level rising with those. So if you win to split the pot today, Miss Ann, I don't have their amount written down. It's like $1,100, $1,200 now. You're going to be fine. It's our 58th birthday, ladies and gentlemen. So at this time, I'm sharing my screen to the people that are online. We're going to walk through some time right here, okay? So at this time, I do want to take a moment of silence for our founding president who passed away this past week, Mr. Dan Blitch III, okay? So we're going to pause for a moment of silence for Dan. Also want you to know the Rotary Club of Winder board has also, we're going to donate $280 to his church, to the church that he attends, and that's 1 year, that's $10, and this $10 for every year that he's a Rotarian. This gentleman of Winder, and I think he transferred to Athens after that.
Yeah, he was Rotarian for 58 years.
So
28 of them in our club.
Let's get in that DeLorean, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to time travel to March 21st, 1963. All right, #1 song was Walk Like a Man. hand if you hit that falsetto with me. Just, okay, I love you, Julia. All right, #1 movie on this day in 1963. After we skip this 13-second recommended, it's going to play after that.
What are you going to do? Start a revolution.
And that's 15 seconds you'll never get back, ladies and gentlemen.
This is Joe Clay, public relations man. Public relations is a difficult and demanding job. There are many aspects to modern public relations.
And anyway, my agency is throwing a party, or rather we're inviting the people for a party on Prince Harun Budul's yacht. And they've suggested that you might be very well.
Anybody ever heard of this movie? Raise your hand. Is it good? Yeah. Movie of the year right there. All right. Our president was John F. Kennedy. In 1963, as you know, later in November. Our governor was Carl Sanders. Anybody remember Carl Sanders? Fantastic. And y'all don't tell her I stole this out to his great-granddaughter's Facebook page. Shh. But our mayor was C.A. Rutledge. Fun fact about C.A. Rutledge, never met the gentleman, but this guy was mayor, then someone else replaced him, and then ran again and won. So kind of Grover Cleveland, that bad boy. Interesting. And these are notable things on March 21st. Gary Oldman was born in 58. Ferris Bueller was born in 8. The famous Dallas cliffhanger airs. Who knows what it is? What is it? Say it.
Who killed JR?
Who shot JR? That's what I'm talking about. Linda Hendricks on here throwing out trivia. All right. Also, Alcatraz shut its doors on this day, the day our Rotary Club was founded. Alcatraz shut it down. So now, if you notice, we're all kind of rough thugs and inmates. That's because we all went to the Rotary Club of Winder. I find this interesting. The Moondog Coronation Ball was in Cleveland, and this was the first major rock and roll concert in 1952. Kind of cool stuff. And finally, this is probably the most important, obviously, heard it as well on that day. Other major events. Kennedy was assassinated in 63. Excuse me. Lee Harvey Oswald, obviously. Civil rights protests continue in 1963 along the South. 200 people, I'm hitting puberty apparently. 200,000 people march on Washington in support of civil rights, and MLK delivers his I Have a Dream speech. More fun facts. Brad Pitt, Whitney Houston, Michael Jordan, and Johnny Depp were all born in 1963. My mom was born a year later. Johnny Depp is aged better than my mom. As Brad Pitt. Mom, if you're listening, it's true. All right. So we're looking at 14 minutes. We're going to get started at 12:20 right there. All right. At this time, do we have any happy dollars? Madison's going to make her way around happy dollars, and then we're going to roll into a great presentation today.
I've been no happy dollar. Getting a mattress. It's being delivered like right now. I'm so excited. We had this awful cable work going on in an old mattress, and it's time for a new one. And it's my firstborn son's birthday. Grady, my ragdoll cat. He's 7 years old.
Anybody feeling happy? We can sing another Rotary.
I'm happy that this Rotary Club was founded when it was, so that 20 years later they had to accept women. Good for us.
For happy dollars, go to Park Fund.
That it?
All right.
All right. Hey, go ahead and check in online. If we can all sing together later, if that's what you want to do. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, and with her crew of awesome speakers from Northeast Georgia Health System. Ladies and gentlemen, our Rotarian, Sunita Singh. Is that right?
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Not a good day to be out, but you guys are here, so thank you so much. And I'm going to turn it over to our hospital president. He's also the vice president of all the regional hospitals for our system, for our Georgia health system. Chad Hatfield, you can tell us about hospital or anything that you wish.
Anything that I wish. Well, I think we're gonna pick up another song. Just kidding. Nobody. Man, it is great to see everybody. It feels like this year has been like 5 years combined into one. I miss seeing everybody at the hospital on Thursdays, and so maybe one day we can get the group back together at the hospital. I hope Andy can still sing songs. That's what we're doing. But I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are today with the pandemic and COVID, and kind of think back to where we were a year ago. Everything got shut down. I think it was like March 13th, March 14th. So we're just beyond that 1 year anniversary for that. And so a year ago, we were talking about, who knows how long we're going to be in this situation. We've got to develop a vaccine. We need to understand more about it. So December vaccines were approved under the Emergency Authorization Act. And so they were released for public. And they started out for the healthcare workers and those 65 and older. We've been going through that, and they've made some modifications to it. They've added the Publix with that. And, I see Al back there eating. And so, hopefully your teachers have been able to get vaccinated. And I know we helped with that about 2 weeks ago.
The second shot is first of April.
Second shot's coming up pretty quick. So we're excited about that. So when you look at vaccine, where we are today, the United States has vaccinated over 130 million people. That's an amazing figure, given that there are probably over 130 countries that haven't vaccinated anybody. And so I do think rolling this vaccine out in December, and now we're near the end of March, and we've got over a third of the population that has at least one shot, if not 2 shots in their arms. So that's a great number for us. Today, Georgia opens up vaccines to anybody over 16. And so anybody who wants a shot now in Georgia can essentially get one. And so I think we're going to see that 130 million start to balloon up through late spring, early summer, and we get most of the people who want to be back in the population that they aren't going to take it. We still have a lot of people who don't do the flu vaccine, and that's going to have a long time. So we'll still have a percentage that won't take the vaccine. But I think we're heading in positive. We have a positive trend going right now with the vaccines. We're also seeing a positive trend on hospitalizations. I'll say at this point, it probably is in direct correlation with the number of vaccines we've got now in those high-risk categories. So, hospitalizations in the first wave spiked at about 80 to 90. They went down in May. We kind of eased things up in July. Everybody got together for July 4th holiday. It spiked back up to about 160 in the system. We thought that was bad. We were trying to figure out where we're going to put patients because we had 160 patients there just for COVID. Then it went down slightly a little bit, but it didn't go down very far. It went down to about 90, which was the peak of our first wave. And then the major holidays hit with Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. And then that number spiked all the way up to about 350. So, we initially thought the first wave last spring, second wave during the 4th of July, 60 was high. And then all of a sudden we're dealing with, 350 inpatients in the hospital with COVID in December and January. So we were overrun. We're trying to find places to put patients. The ED was backed up. We were holding patients in the ED for days just because we couldn't find an inpatient bed for them. Most hospitals were on the verge and they weren't accepting patients from other hospitals. So it looked pretty bad. But during that time, we were also rolling out the vaccine. A quarter, about 3.5 months, The vaccine's been out there. We've vaccinated, over 100 million people, and the current hospitalization of COVID patients in our system today is at 31 this morning. So that's a tremendous number. And so that's when you think about, gosh, when's this going to end? And when you think about what the light at the end of the tunnel looks like, it's gone from 350 to 31 today, 350 in January to 31 today. That's an incredible precipitous drop in COVID positive patients in the hospital. So we anticipate that number to probably be consistent, probably stay, some little peaks, troughs with that over the next several months. But the key of those high risk populations, those patients who, if they do get COVID, do contract it, they are higher risk of being hospitalized. So I don't anticipate a surge like we saw this past year happening again, as long as we continue through with the vaccines. There's a lot of questions about the vaccines, and there aren't any answers yet when it comes to, are we going to need a booster, an annual booster like we do for the flu vaccine? Is this going to protect us against all the variants? Those questions are still out there, but where we are today and what we know, we're in a lot better situation than we were 12 months ago. So any questions on COVID, system, the hospital?
Ben? So for many of us who are vaccinated, what are our precautions going forward? Continue to wear your mask, right? Mm-hmm. And because you could catch it again, but it's just not going to be deadly, right? Is that kind of what that means?
Yeah, from everything we read, you can still contract it, but it's going to reduce the symptoms dramatically, and it's going to reduce your risk of hospitalization. I've read between the 80 and 90% of hospitalization. So we still want to continue to mask to protect really those around you, but they are easing restrictions. So if two vaccinated people are together, they can unmask in the same room, in a small group, right? So they are starting to ease up on some of the restrictions. And I think as we go through the spring and into the summer, we're going to see those restrictions continue to open up. What I would say is look to Texas and some of these other states who have pretty much dropped all restrictions, see where they're at the end of April, and that should tell us kind of be. Because I would use them as a bellwether. So if Texas has been month, Texas had a huge surge and hospitalizations go up again, maybe they were a little too early. But if things continue on with Texas, and there's no big outbreak, things still look good, then they may be on the right track. We can probably open things up a little quicker. Good question.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
I heard study from the DNC that this strain in Europe would not affect this vaccine. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not up to speed on all the variants. How they say the vaccine has been pretty effective with all the variants, but I can't answer this strains. Anyone else?
What have you been doing?
Dr. Timmel? All right, I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Timmel, Dr. Michael Timmel. He joined us in the middle of the pandemic, around the middle of October of last year, and he comes to us from Orlando, Florida. He's been great with, the patients, new patients who see him have only good things to say about him. And I'll tell you, he's so good. He has patients drive from Orlando to Winder, Georgia to maintain their appointments with him, to continue to see him. So I'm going to hand this over to Dr. Timmel. And Dr. Timmel, you've got the floor.
Don't speak like him. I act actually. I hope I didn't read off this piece. It's a little bit depressing because I want to talk about depression. Earlier this year, I was asked to talk another similar function as this, and they asked me to talk, and makes it really interesting. Things that I like about depression. Well, so better, you prefer you not do that because our members don't want to hear about depression, they want to hear about blood pressure. I said, if I talk about blood pressure, now I'll want to see. So I didn't talk about that question, but I think you for the opportunity to talk here. So why is it important when we talk about depression? You say the word depression, I call it a mood disorder, and I'll touch on that in just a moment. At any given time in the United States, nearly 20 million people are suffering from depression. It's about 7% of our population.
Dr. Janelle, you may have to speak a little loudly because people are not able to.
All right, I'm sorry. How do you just?
You want to go over there?
Oh, sure.
Ben, where's my mic?
I'll work on it.
So 7% of the population during the COVID pandemic, that was quadrupled. There's an increase in spousal abuse, drug abuse, alcoholism, all related to divorce and depression. So what depression is not, it's not a character flaw, it's not a personality, it's not a decision or a choice. So when I see these books that say it's not that, it's not something you can snap out of, you can't pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And a big problem is family members who see their spouse or loved ones depressed, they don't understand. But what do you have to be depressing? Because you can snap out of it and choose the acts. Yeah, it's not that easy. And it's not the same thing as grieving or being sad about something. It's much more intense. So what is depression? Our brain is an organ just like our heart and our lungs and our spleen. And there could be chemical imbalances that cause different problems. Just like diabetes is a chemical imbalance, not enough insulin. How do we correct diabetes? We correct the imbalance. And that's what we do when we treat depression. It's a disease state. Depression is common, as I said, 7% of our population suffer from depression, and 15% of us will have it sometime in our life. $210 billion a year, loss of productivity, absences, and cost of treatment. Depression is treatable. 80% of patients who are depressed will respond to treatment in the first 46 weeks. Of the 20% that don't respond to treatment, it's because 10% of them, half of them, have stopped on medication. Despite the success of treatment, 2 out of 3 people are depressed, not. So there's a handout for, so how is depression been diagnosed? There are criteria. DSM-5, which stands for Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which is provided for psychiatrists. Requires a 2-week history or longer of extreme sadness or melancholy, and or lack of enjoyment of doing, interest in doing things. And then finally, the following things that were there: sleep issues, too much, not enough, appetite, decreased energy and fatigue, feeling down, bad about yourself, difficulty focusing, concentrating, and making decisions. Psychomotor retardation, slow movements, and recurrent thoughts of death or suicide. There's a difference between thoughts. There's a lot of us go through thoughts that you think you're better off I wasn't around. Depressed people think about that a lot, but there's a difference between that and making a plan. And that's something that we try to definitely screen before we talk. The imbalance of neurotransmitters in the brain. Those neurotransmitters are serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, and there's some other ones perhaps. These neurotransmitters function properly, they're out of balance, and there are reasons why that may occur. Genetics play a big strong role. Personality, those with low self-esteem or get overwhelmed by stress or pessimistic, it's naturally or more depression. Environmental factors, before, without a job, uneducated, tend to be more likely to be depressed. Physical illnesses can lead to depression. Females have a slightly increased rate of depression than males. And then the amount of stress that we're under. So under COVID, there's everything going on, you're a lot of stress. Losing your job, losing your business, being in a home, not around anybody, can't see your loved ones. Those are a major role. So how do we treat it? We use medication. Medication used to treat depression are not having pills. They don't do something to your brain to make you feel better. They work to correct the imbalance. Correct the imbalance and move improvements. And also not forever. Majority of patients who get depressed, major depression, get medication for about a year, they can come off of it, and many of them will never need it again. If you get to feel better, the odds are you can stay on it for that point for the rest of your life. So it's a big problem. It's fairly easily treated. And if you look at this form, if any of you feel like you're depressed, run the CE hasn't been treated. Any questions? Yes.
So I think you mentioned, and I might have the wording wrong, that women are diagnosed at a higher rate than men. Do you think that's because there's this stigma for men?
So the Y chromosome negatively affects men in a lot of ways. First of all, there's likely to go see doctors. They're not likely to want to admit that they have a problem, whether it be diabetes or otherwise, and they really don't like taking medication. So it's more of a challenge. So very well likely maybe that women are more likely to go get treated.
Okay. I watch these commercials on TV for depression.
Right.
They're 60 seconds long.
Right.
First 15 seconds, and the other 45 seconds tell you about all the negative things that can happen if you take the pills.
So that's a great question. But if you watch any commercial on any medication, not just antidepressants, most of it would say after they say, why would anybody take that medication? So the answer is because 5% of people or less have any of those side effects. And if you experience a side effect, you stop the medication and the side effect goes away. So, people ask about potential side effects. I don't know. You don't, most people take that. You're a little more worried about prescription medications. But first, you're almost certainly not experiencing side effects. And if you do, stop the medication. There's usually other choices. And that's medical legal stuff. Aside, I don't know why they put those commercials on. Because they can't convince anybody to go in there and ask the doctor for that medication when they list all those bad things that can happen. And I can't really do. Anything else?
Oh, I have to ask one more question. Sure. What brought you to Winder, Georgia?
Well, actually, so I came here to semi-retire, and I'm doing that by working 40 hours a week. So where I practiced in Orlando for almost 30 years. I developed a very large practice. I had a nurse practitioner and a physician assistant working with me. So I had to manage that. Time with patients. I only see 20 patients a day. Compared to other doctors, that's probably a small amount. Most doctors see 25, 30 patients a day. So I've spent a lot of time, I can say that there's two-way doctors who practice. They can set the agenda. They'll talk about what they want to talk about, and they're in and out. They stay on time, but they will answer our questions. So they can stay on time. I let the patients set the agenda. I will answer every question they have. The last question I ask by a 15-minute appointment might take 45 minutes. If you see me as a patient, you should expect to wait. All my patients in Orlando, patient satisfaction survey says, you will wait, but he's worth the wait. So anyway, I see 20 patients, I get behind my notes. I got, it's a large practice. I was working 80 hours a week, I was working every weekend. When I turned 60, I said, I love medicine, but there's more to life than this. So I decided I was going to slow down. And I could do that if I go anywhere and start a practice. And here I started a practice. I see patients. So it's taken time to build a practice. And I'll never get to seeing the thousands of patients I had. That took 2 years. So I came here to do the job 40 hours a week. Maybe it'll turn out to be 50 hours a week, but I'll get full reading practice. I'm enjoying weekends. I'm enjoying seeing my wife again. I don't know if she's enjoying seeing me, but so and I came to Winder. I had friends that lived in Orlando most of my kids' lives. We moved here to Gainesville about 5 years ago. So we've been up here several times. We like you. All right.
Good answer.
All right, thank you.
All right, Dr. Timm, thank you for your presentation. Next up, we have Tina Johnson, and she is our stroke coordinator for the hospital. She also does some coordination activities for the system as well. She's here to talk to you a little bit about our stroke program at Northeast Georgia Medical Center Barrow, and probably a little bit about the system program as well. We've added some really incredible interventionalists to the system for neurointervention. So, Tina.
I really appreciate you guys letting us come and talk to you today. So as you mentioned, we are making time. So when we look at stroke patients, unfortunately, we know that about 795,000 people are going to have a stroke every year. And that includes ages all the way to the neonatal period, all the way up into adulthood. Okay, so teenagers can have strokes, neonates, you know, and of course, we think of the population that's our age. So we're definitely the people that are getting ready for strokes, right? But some of the things that we can do and the focus that we have in the system is making sure that we prevent strokes. We can actually, one of the cards that was passed out to you here has your risk factors on here. And unfortunately, or fortunately, some of the risk factors can't be changed. How many times have you wished you could pick your family? Anybody? You can't change that part of it, I apologize. You can't change your age, you can't change your sex, all those things are kind of stuff there as far as your risk factors. But what you can change is your blood pressure by working closely with your primary physician and making sure that you're controlling your blood pressure with your medications, your exercise regimen, and your diet. Okay? The other thing that you can do is to control your blood sugar. If you know that you're someone that is running with a high A1C or that is running with a high blood sugar, then that's something that you can do that's diet control, exercise control, and then of course medication control. The reason why we focus on blood sugar and blood pressure is because over time that is going to increase your chance of stroke substantially. Okay? The really cool part about all of this is that you can work with your primary physician to prevent the chance of you having a stroke just by watching a lot of these. Real quick, if you look at the other side, you'll see the signs and symptoms of a stroke. We use a mnemonic that's called Be Fast. And basically, if you have an acute change in your balance, your vision, your ability to speak, your ability to know who your child's name is, things like that, those are acute changes. You should not go take a nap. You should not talk to your neighbor. This is when you call 911. And the reason why we really push calling EMS is because we know that those EMS agencies are going to take you to the closest appropriate stroke center. Okay? Right now, Northeast Georgia Barrow, Northeast Georgia Brazelton are both primary stroke centers. What that means is that when you come in the door, we're going to move you very quickly through diagnostics and potentially give you a drug called alteplase to break up the clot that's slowing down the blood flow to your brain. Okay? If you go into Northeast Georgia and Gainesville, they actually have a procedure it's called in this part of the state. There's some hospitals that have it occasionally in Athens, but for the most part, unless you go to Atlanta, the only place you can have this procedure done is going to be in Gates. Okay, and this is where we can physically go in with the stent, the catheter, and remove the clot that's blocking that blood flow. Okay, we've had amazing success with that over the last couple of months since it got started. And we are approaching the ability to be able to be a comprehensive stroke center at that particular campus because of these procedures. Lumpkin will be working towards becoming an acute stroke rating hospital. And basically what that means is they can do the alteplase that I mentioned earlier in order to restore blood flow and to be able to shift you to a place that you can get more advanced care. What that means is that 4 hospitals in this focus on stroke care and making sure that you have the least amount of disability that you possibly can and the best outcome. Okay? Do you might have any questions about stroke?
So I have a friend that had her mom had a stroke last year. So she has permanent paralysis on the right side of her face. Why is that? Is it because they waited too long to get her treated?
So part of the process with stroke, if you look at the book that we handed out, it talks about the pathophysiology. So what a stroke is, you can have 2 different types. One is a typically have ischemic stroke. And what that means is that your brain does not store any blood, oxygen, or glucose. It has to have a constant supply coming up from the body, okay? So when you start to lose that constant supply of blood sugar and oxygen, then the brain starts to have what we call ischemia. That means that it starts to not have the cells, the oxygen, the blood flow that it needs, and it starts to die. So the reason why strokes are such an acute time-sensitive emergency is because we want to restore that blood flow in order to be able to maintain things like the ability to smile equally on each side or to feel one side of your body versus the other. And if you can't have good, then it's going to die and you're not going to do that. Does that kind of make sense? So what happens though is a lot of times we have what we call a wake-up stroke. And what that means is the person may have actually had their stroke after they went to bed at night, but before they got up the next day. And so we're not really 100% sure how long it's been, which means are they going to be able to get the drugs that they can only have in that 4.5-hour window. And so it makes it harder for us to be able to diagnose that person. One of the tests that Vero is going to be starting to have the capability of doing in May is called a CTP. So it's a CAT scan, like you've heard before. But what this does is it shows us that perfusion ratio so we can have an even better idea of when this stroke actually occurred. Okay? Our interventional surgeon that we have, Dr. Lee, is going to be able to read that exam and decide if we can do the wake-up stroke. Those type things are advances that our system has assured us is going to happen because they are so focused on stroke care at this part of the stage. Does that make sense? So everything we're doing is moving towards, one, preventing stroke if we possibly can, making sure that hopefully you live like the way that you can to prevent those, but then also, if it does occur, that we're ready to take care of you and hopefully prevent as much of the disability as we possibly can for those patients. Questions?
So each week we donate a book to the Winder Public Library on behalf of the speaker, and this is what we have for this week. All right. So Dr. Michael Timmel, you have I Don't Want to Wash My Hands. All right. Tina, you have Dr. Tina Johnson, Fairy Science, Solid, Liquid, and Gassy. Which none of us know that. And Bill, you have the president of the jungle. Like, you can really feel that very firmly. Hey, so before we do the split the pot, remember, you get to choose the song. I would like you to rise to your feet. We're gonna sing song number 40 together as a club. This one's a good one. And if you see on page 2, Rotary Singing is a social welder. It pulls a club together. And Rotary Singing, in its simplest form, becomes a forerunner of things more cultural in the realm of art and music.
What age?
No. Song 4, the key is an F, if you know what that means. I don't. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, give me a town where there's never a frown, but a Rotary spirit supreme, where the fellows are known by their first names alone, and where friendship is no idle dream. Oh, Rotary town, when men are all happy and gay, woo-hoo, they meet every week. Plants of which spread far away. All right, give yourself a hand. See, you feel better, right? All right, so we are going to win $41, and you get to choose the song. And afterwards, we're going to sign the check. For those of you who donated to the Boy Scouts of America, we're going to have a check signing after this meeting as well. And then we're going to have a big picture as well of everybody because it's our 58th birthday, right? So, and Chronic, who's going to win $41, and more importantly, the chance to win over $1,200, and you get to choose. So please leave all the paraphernalia here, and we'll have these back on your desk next week. Yeah. I know you want to take these home, but please leave them. If you think I'm looking at you, Lynn, I am.
Well, after all, the first edition was printed.
What do you do? Hey, did you just throw the game on us? I'll do it. Okay. All right. Today's winner. Let's pound the table. I'll read it off for you if you'd like. All right. The winning ticket number is, and I'm not going to do it like the guy last week that got everybody confused. 2, 1, 3, 7, 8. 2, 1, 3, 7, 8, 1. 2, 1, 3. Yay! And the cards now. Did you leave them over here? Okay. All right. Billy, what are we playing for, sir?
The Motorhead card, buddy.
Yes, sir. I think I've sung enough today, so you don't have to. You don't need a Motorhead. You have it today.
You ready?
Yes, sir. Ooh. All right. Remember, after this, we're going to have a check signing up here, a check picture, and we would love to have everybody in a picture. We'll do it by the Rotary Club symbol, really to commemorate 58th birthday.
May I say something?
And she's going to say something.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to express my appreciation to the Rotary Club and the members who have supported the Boy Scout County. Special thanks to Dr. Darby. He was one of the captains, and also Stephanie and Ann. And also Billy, you were a big contributor, a big donation from you. So I thank all of you who donated and made it possible. I had the honor and privilege this year of being the chair of Friends of Boy Scouts. That is basically helping the Barrow County Boy Scouts. Our goal was 11,000. I said, boys, because we already made that goal and we exceeded it. So thank you. Rotary Club of Winder gave a donation of $500, which is huge. So special thanks also to Rotary Club and all the members.
This time, page 23. I'm just joking. Please stand for the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? And will be beneficial to all concerned?